the first ever episode of the Cycle Podcast, where we cover 4 trending MLB topics in 20 minutes or less. I'm John, your host. I'm a big Royals fan, baseball lover, and I'm super, super excited to talk sports. With me, I have my co-host, Josh, a.k.a. Kablumski. Go ahead, Josh. Tell the people who you are.
Man, I'm Josh, like you said, a.k.a. Kablumski. Big baseball fanatic. Played my whole life. Played in college ball. Shout out to the Edward Waters University now. Back when I was there was Edward Waters College. Just happy to be a part of this show. Looking forward to talk some baseball.
Absolutely. So if you followed us at all before, this is following the Four Downs podcast, where we do the same format, talk NFL football. So if you're familiar, you'll understand the format. We go topic by topic with a 5-minute timer to try to keep us, in check, get the important pieces out, and move on to the next topic so we don't take up too much of your time. So if you're commuting, you've got a half-hour drive, in the shower, cooking dinner, this is a great podcast to get your weekly baseball news every week.
Absolutely.
So make sure to tune in. Without further ado, let's roll right into our first topic. Our first topic today is going to be talking about our favorite offseason moves. So big signings, extensions, trades, things that we think are going to make specific teams a lot better because of just one move. I'm going to start off with the 6-year, $210 million contract that the Arizona Diamondbacks, big money, gave to Corbin Burnes. I thought this was sort of out of the blue. I didn't think the Diamondbacks were going to be in the market this heavily, but when you put it together with what they already have there, I think it puts them legitimately in World Series contention. They were there in 2023 with the same core that they have now. Last year, they scored 845 runs, which topped the Dodgers, who many thought of as the best offense in the major leagues. So when you're scoring that many runs and you miss the playoffs outright, obviously pitching is a problem, whether it be the starting rotation or the bullpen, and they absolutely addressed their rotation this offseason. He's joining Zach Gallen, Brandon Pfaadt, Eduardo Rodriguez, and this is a guy who's a legitimate Cy Young contender. In the last 5 seasons, he hasn't finished lower than 8th in Cy Young voting and won one just a few years back. So putting him above Gallen, now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch. You have Brandon Pfaadt, who could take another step forward. He is still young enough that he could emerge, and putting him in that number 3 role, I think, gives him a chance to shine. And then you have Eduardo Rodriguez rounding out their top 4. You look at Burnes, 30 years old right now, coming off a season where he had a 2.9 ERA, 1.096 whip, ranked in the top 5 in the major leagues in those categories. So I can see him elevating them to the top of that somewhat competitive division they're in out there. Right. And I really think they are the team who could knock the Dodgers off in the playoffs, especially with the familiarity that they're going to build playing them so much this season. So with that, Josh, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you want to add anything onto the Corbin Burnes, or you can get rolling into your big moves.
No, well, first of all, two good key points there. One thing that I do want to say, that's going to be tough to beat the Dodgers. I don't care who you are this year. Dodgers are just – anyway, let's not talk about them.
People have heard enough about the Dodgers.
Yeah. So my offseason, I want to talk about – I like to keep it close to home, especially because we have the best division in baseball. The AL East is what I'm talking about. Obviously, top to bottom, is a contender every year. Somebody's going to come out, represent the American League every year out of our division, no matter what it is. And now we got the Baltimore, who's nothing to sneeze at anymore either. But I want to talk about the Red Sox, first of all. Red Sox, Garrett Crochet, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Huge pickup for them on a multitude of levels, and the pitching staff. That you're talking about an anchor. You're talking about somebody that's going to try to make a push, like you were talking about, similar to Burnes. And other than adding Walker Buehler, I believe it was, as well, that it kind of drops off due to injury. They got Bello, they got Kuttner, I believe it is.
Cutter Crawford, Tanner Houck.
Cutter Crawford. and how, yeah. So like it's something that they're gonna have to work on. But good move there, Bregman, another great addition to that squad. Red Sox are gonna try to make a push for it. They know that the Yankees are obviously at the top. They know that us Rays are always nipping at the heels, and they got to make a move. Obviously, or Baltimore and the Blue Jays are just always in the way somehow, right? But speaking of that, the Yankees, you talk about pitching. Pitching to me, hands down, if you have a solid rotation, especially 3 to 4 guys that can really hold it down for you, you can go far, right? I think that having what the Yankees did and adding Max Fried there was huge on a multitude of levels as well, because it's for 8 years. This is not one of those let's do 2 years and see how you do type deal. No, this is like, hey, we're giving you the reins. Let's see what you can do with it. You're the next guy in line. This reminds me of similar of a CC Sabathia at times. It wasn't in the middle of the year. I don't think they got him in the middle of the year. But CC Sabathia, when he came in, it was a big contract. It was like, here's the reins. Go out and bring me a ring back, right? So I think those two key offseason moves to me is what I'm looking at the most, just because it's in-house, in division, and it also plays a big role, not only in the American League, but also in the MLB as well.
And I love the Yankees getting ahead of Garrett Cole sort of aging out of that ace role, because
he's injured as well.
Yes, and even when he's back, he is in the tail end of his career. Max Fried is going to step in and take over that ace role here within the next few years, and they have him locked up through his age 39 season. So
right, I got one little hot take if you don't mind. Yeah. With these injuries, you got like you said, Cole. I know Giancarlo Stanton is hurt now too. Vladimir Guerrero, watch out for a big splash. Either the Yankees are going to really cash in and go all in and try to get a rematch against the Dodgers, or they're just going to let it roll out. But just watch out for that move. Heard it here first.
I don't want that to happen as a Royals fan.
I don't want that to happen either. But the Yankees are the freaking Yankees. Yeah. The Yankees are the Yankees. So I'm not going to be surprised if that happens.
Absolutely. With that, we'll move on to our second topic, which is going to be talking about the Mets offseason. So stay tuned for that. Our second topic today, as we said, is going to be the Mets offseason, which was the talk of the MLB. The Dodgers made some big moves, and the Mets made some big moves. Of course, which we're going to get to, Juan Soto's 15-year, $765 million deal. But
godly, that's crazy.
Say
that one more time so I can understand.
$765 million for one player. They also brought in Clay Holmes, known as the Yankees closer in previous years. Frankie Montas extended 2 years. Frankie Montas signed 2 years. They extended Sean Manaea, brought in Jose Siri, and re-signed Pete Alonso. So, obviously a scary roster. You've got your Mark Vientos, Jeff McNeil. You've got Soto. You've got Alonso. You have Francisco Alvarez, Frankie Lindor. Scary.
I was going to say, hello. Scary, you're not saying Lindor's name?
Scary roster. However, I don't think they addressed their issues. Like,
what was that?
Their pitching, starting pitching. Okay. Is Sean Manaea or Frankie Montas a number one starter anywhere? No. I agree. And you have a team that struggled with their starting rotation last year. You have a team that had a shaky bullpen last year. Didn't do much outside of A.J. Minter to improve that bullpen. We'll see how Edwin Diaz performs this season. I just don't think, and you want to say they spent almost $1 billion. Did they do enough? I don't think they did do enough, because I think they spent money in the wrong place. Juan Soto, my take, well below average fielder, outstanding, one of the best hitters in the major leagues. But I expect him to transition to a full-time DH within the next 3 years. We've seen some 100%. Of his blunders in spring training in right field. We saw him with the Yankees make some mistakes, by the way, in a stadium that is extremely easy to play right field in. Tiny right field, and he still had trouble tracking down balls out there in Yankee Stadium. So I'll turn it over to you. not just
Yeah.
Juan Soto, the Mets as a whole.
Yeah.
Were the issues addressed? And if you agree with me, the issues were not addressed. Is Juan Soto enough to propel them to a World Series championship?
Find me an episode that I agree with you on, like on a topic, because I gotta replay that. Anyway, no, I don't. I mean, in a sense, so they did not acquire the right pieces as far as the pitching staff. You're correct.
Yeah.
Do they have enough firepower? They need to figure out a rotation that can at least similar to what the Rays used to do, like a bullpen game or whatever. They need to be a little bit more consistent with that. Like if they can get a pitcher to go in 5 instead of, an average pitcher going to 6 or 7, they need to work in the back end to get to Mr. Shutdown, Edwin Diaz, to me, one of the greatest closers in the game right now. I think that the Juan Soto deal, I think that it wasn't supposed to be addressed this year. I think this was a piece that is going to play a factor in the future, a little bit of an attraction piece to come to New York, as if New York needs more attraction, right? But for the Mets side of things. And I think that it keeps, I think the culture there is very in tune with this community as far as the Latino base, everything like that. They're very, very, the players are very in tune with that as well. And I think that's why the Juan Soto deal, not only, I think people are missing the real impact on who it's going to be on. And I'm saying it's going to be on Francisco Lindor. I think that the fact that now he has backup, you have the Tampa native, shout out to the polar bear, Pete Alonso, for his little contract, and that he's going to get paid after this year because he's going to have a breakout year too. So now you have insurance behind you, and this just amplifies and gets Frankie to be Frankie as in Lindor, to play himself, be more aggressive at the plate and allow things to happen. So on the offensive side, it's definitely addressed. That's going to be a tough lineup to go through on a day in and day out basis. Are they going to have enough firepower to compete long term in the back end of the bullpen, and especially starters as well? So I think that they addressed a lot, but the future is bright for them. They're going to be like the Washington Commanders this year, if that's a comparison to the football world. They're going to go far.
That was last year. This year they're expected. I think they're more like the Detroit Lions. I think everybody expects them this year.
Okay.
But last thing, 5 seconds. We just got done talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks, who led the league in runs scored.
Right.
Poor pitching staff. I think the Mets are going to figure out this year that they need to go out and get somebody like a Corbin Burns to go with that lineup. I think there's a real chance they miss the playoffs this year, especially with the Braves. I think are going to come on strong this year, and I think the Phillies are still well in the mix in that division. I think the Phillies will take that division. Braves will be the wild card. I think the Mets will be on their heels, missing the playoffs, but we'll readdress that. Clip it. We'll readdress it at the end of the season. Let's move on to our next topic. Our third topic today is going to be part 1 of our 2-part series, ranking the top 5 players on the offensive side of the ball and then the pitching staff. Today we're talking batters. We touched on this a little bit last night in our meeting, who we were going to go with. And I think we both have our honorable mentions sort of on the same page. Our top 5 is fairly different. Our honorable mentions were Gunnar Henderson, Freddie Freeman, and the player we just spoke about, Juan Soto.
Right.
My top 5. Do you want to go 5 to 1 or 1 to 5? Up to you.
Go 5 to 1. Let's go. Let's keep it on our toes here.
My number 5 is a guy who is criminally underrated, criminally underappreciated in baseball loving circles. This is a guy who everyone agrees deserves more love. Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland Guardians. All around dude. Hits for power, hits for average, drives in runs when it's necessary. A better base runner than people give him credit for. Deceptively quick for his body size. Sort of like, and I hate this guy, an Altuve. A little guy with a lot more pop and a lot more speed than you'd expect. A mean
right hand too.
Oh man, ended Tim Anderson's career. Tim Anderson's now playing a minor league deal because J-Rim knocked the
played
talent.
the same sense.
Knocked the talent right out of him. Unfortunate. That was so good. Number 4, I have Mookie Betts of the Dodgers.
Okay.
One of 2 Dodgers, obviously, on my list. Mookie has been overshadowed in recent years. Well, not recent, just last season, with the addition of Ohtani. But Betts now moving back to the infield is going to be interesting to watch. I expect him to have an MVP caliber year alongside Shohei Ohtani out there. My number 3, and this is actually very controversial in a Royals household. I have Bobby Witt Jr. at the 3, while I expect him to be at the 2 or the 1 when we circle back to this next season. Right now, there's just 2 guys above him. Bobby Witt Jr., multiple 30-30 seasons, a demon on the base paths, extra base hit machine. The number of times you've seen Bobby come up in a clutch situation and fix the score with the long ball.
Yeah.
I love him for his ability to stretch doubles into triples, singles into doubles. He does so much for that team, setting us up to score runs with guys like Vinny Pasquantino and Salvador Perez sitting behind him. My number 2 really needs no introduction. Aaron Judge, the best center fielder in the game currently. I expect him to hit another 50 home runs this year, even with the loss of Soto. Rounding things out, everybody's number 1, Shohei Ohtani. Another 50-50 season incoming. We'll see about the pitching side of the ball. But today we're just talking about his bat. So with the time remaining, Josh, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Okay, so Judge is not the best center fielder. My top 5, or my honorable mention, is Marte, Gunnar, and Juan Soto.
Okay.
So we were correct there with Soto. Judge is my number 5. We're talking about hitting in general, right? Just hitting purely. He plays in a high school MLB field there. The dimensions there. I mean, my son can hit a home run there. So any pop fly that goes out of there is in his favor, right? So he has that going for them. Good job. Then we're talking about if we're talking about hitting, Luis Arias. Luis Arias, when I look up his numbers, every time that I was looking up his numbers, it was giving me Tony Gwynn statistics. When you're being compared to Tony Gwynn in any batting category, it's not just 1 or 2. He's in multiple categories. He's being compared to Tony Gwynn, and I'm taking that company all day, every day.
Absolutely.
Tony Gwynn, to me, was somebody that was just phenomenal at the plate. A work of art, poetry in motion, the whole 9. Then at number 3, I'm going with Francisco Lindor, a.k.a. Frankie, a.k.a. Mr. Smile. He's going to be the anchor of that Mets powerful lineup, MVP caliber season. But we're talking about hitting. It's going to be plus 340 type season, 330 type season for him. And he's just going to have a phenomenal year. Number 2, just to make you feel better and make you feel a bit warm and fuzzy, I got your boy Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt is just phenomenal at the plate. The guy's insane. The guy plays ball the right way. If there's any kids listening to this podcast, watch Bobby Witt play baseball. Bobby Witt Jr., Bobby Witt Jr. plays baseball the right way. He comes out the box gunning, and he's trying to stretch anything into a double or into a triple. Watch him play. And then obviously our number 1 that we were discussing, Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, possibly the GOAT. For those of you listening, leave your top 5 in the comments below because we want to see where you agree, where you disagree. Call us dumb, call us smart. We love the interaction. So with that, we got one more topic to get through. Let's move right into it because I'm excited for this one. Our last topic of the night, we're going to talk our own teams, something we're not going to do super regularly, but we just want to start off the year hyping ourselves up, getting ready for a good year, hopefully, for both of us.
Let's go.
As the main host and better looking host, I want to start off with the Royals. Our biggest move, swapping Brady Singer for Joey Weimer and Jonathan India. Jonathan India being huge move. Huge.
Florida boy, by the way. Go ahead. Continue.
Handsome too. Big on base guy, high on base percentage, takes smart at bats, not a ton of power there, but has the ability to hit those extra base hits that we desperately, desperately need above Bobby Witt Jr. And no shade to some of the guys I'm going to mention. Tommy Pham, Michael Massey, Michael Garcia, MJ Melendez, a revolving door of leadoff hitters last year. None of them ever stuck at the top of the rotation. As a matter of fact, guys like Michael Massey and Michael Garcia, when we moved them down in the order, were significantly better at the plate. So now you put a guy like Jonathan India, who is comfortable in the leadoff spot, knows how to get on base, knows how to work an at-bat, and with Bobby Witt Jr. hitting behind him, is going to get a lot more to hit. I think that is going to improve his numbers. They're not going to be trying to pitch around. They're not going to be trying to get him to nibble. You're going to have to throw him something to hit because you risk walking him and bringing Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, and Salvador Perez up to the plate behind him.
Showtime.
3 guys who went over 105 RBIs last year, now hitting behind Jonathan India. We also addressed that closer spot. Obviously, we traded for Lucas Erceg last year, who held down that spot at the end of the year after another revolving door of closers. We bring Carlos Estevez. So now our eighth inning and closer, Lucas Erceg, Carlos Estevez, 2 guys that come into the game, throwing gas, know how to get those 3 outs we need. And then we re-signed Michael Wacha, which actually allowed us to make that Brady Singer move. If we hadn't been able to keep, I love him.
Sorry.
Love him. Wacha. He should be Waka Flocka Flame.
I just wanted to say that like that.
We bring him back in. That allows us to move Brady Singer, bring in Jonathan India, and Joey Weimer, a sneaky possible right field starter, still young enough to break out. He has shown flashes in the past. You know him well, I believe. Did he play? Did he come up with the Rays?
He did.
Yes. So end up in Milwaukee for a while. Then he was with the Reds. So he's moved around.
Man, I think so though. But go ahead.
He's moved around a little bit. Never really stuck anywhere. But that's just kind of a bonus piece on that trade, bringing in Jonathan India. So I'm excited for what the Royals have. We addressed our 2 biggest needs, another bullpen arm and a leadoff hitter. I would have loved a power bat, somebody like Anthony Santander, but I will make do with what we did, especially given the money that the Royals have to spend. Turning it over to you. Tell me about the Rays. What do you expect? What do you love? What do you not like? What are you most excited about? Floor's yours for the next minute.
So being a Rays fan is tough, man. I mean, if anybody knows me out there, they know that I've been dying and riding for this team since '98 when they started. I mean, but it's just been tough because it's such a roller coaster. And this year, I don't think we're going to be, as far as going on the decline in the roller coaster, I think we're going to be going up. So with that being said, I think that our pitching staff, let's back it up. We didn't do much in the offseason to begin with, but that's the Rays way, right? We develop players in the minor league system. We develop players within our system itself in general, whether it be trading in and out within the minor league system to develop them before they get to us. They show out for us and then we ship them off. That's the MO for the Rays. That's something that I've grown to live with, unfortunately. But we got some talent, and we got some talent coming in the right time. Sugar Shane, coming back from injury, he has a chip on his shoulder, ready to go, being the ace. We got Taj Bradley coming right behind him, young gun. If he can learn how to go deep into games and control batters counts and situational baseball. Phenomenal 1-2 punch there. Then we get a little bit crazy now, and we're talking about Shane Baz coming in the mix. We can't forget about Rasmussen there as well. So like we're talking about guys, and then Pepio. If Pepio is the sleeper, because if he can be the number 3 guy, which he's projected to be, is going to be a big difference maker. I think we end up making a trade along the likes of Brandon Lau and Yandy Diaz to strengthen up a big bat. We're missing a big bat. We addressed the catcher position, but did we really with Jensen? I like what he's done in the past, but he's kind of on the decline of his career. So I'm looking forward to seeing him just as a catcher, former catcher, and also just seeing what happens in the the outfield now with it being shaken up without Siri and DeLuca really anchoring down center field. So those are my takes. I'm looking forward to what we got going on. Rays are always in the mix, whether we like it or not. It's like either go all in or not. But, we end up selling during the All-Star break, but then end up making a playoff push. I don't know. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be an exciting year. And with being healthy, we can make a push this year. So I'm excited for that.
For the Rays, I'm most excited for. I want to see how Christopher Morel performs in his first full season there. And I'm excited to see.
Yes, that's another one. I'm sorry.
You're
Yes,
good.
I have him on my numbers, but yes, good point.
Jose Caballero. Can he break 50 stolen bags this year? Can he break that 50 stolen bag mark this year?
Yes.
And
he will.
Can he lead the AL in stolen bases? I see a possibility for 60 bags from him this year. If he can get on base enough to have those opportunities, the Rays can play aggressive. Send him every time.
Junior Cabanero looking out for a breakout year for him as well. But good point with Caballero. I think 70 plus. 70 plus.
That's another one to cycle back to. I'm actually going to be keeping one of my pages in my notebook as we go into the outro here is going to be predictions we've made throughout the year. And in our final episode of the year, I want to go back and address all those. Were we right? Were we stupid? Let's see. So I'm going to put Caballero at 55. You're going to put him at 70 plus.
70.
Lock
70
it in.
Plus, yeah.
Mets missed the playoffs. Caballero stolen bags. You know what I want to do? Drop my pen.
Let's do it now.
Let's keep a running list of our predictions. So this is just our outro here. I've got the Mets playoffs. You're a yes. I'm a no. And then Jose Caballero stolen bases. And I'll keep a running track. So with that, that's the end of our first episode. Josh, I love talking ball with you. Hopefully those of you who are tuning in for the first time enjoyed this. Like I said, leave us a comment, give us a follow. We are under the Chaotically Intolerant podcast umbrella, so check out their podcast as well. And stay with us all season to keep up on everything baseball. Let us know what topics you want us to touch on. Josh, thank you for coming on today. I enjoyed having you. Anything to round things out for us?
No, man, thank you for having me. I'm looking super forward to this season. Baseball is one thing that I can talk all day about. And I'm just fortunate to have a good guy like you, having me here and having this opportunity to do this with. So looking forward to a great season. Go Rays. Good luck to the Royals. But man, fuck everybody else in the American League East. It's all about the Rays. Let's go.
Absolutely. And we're gonna catch that Royals Rays game when they're here in town. We'll hit that together, talk a little ball there. I'll see you then, buddy.
Take care, man. Good to see you.